this guy, we might have to pull a beef out of him because I was texting him this morning as we welcome in Richard Davenport, Whole Hog Sports, and the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Tommy, he was on a walk with his dog. He showed me a pretty picture. Richard, I think it's safe to say you're in a good mood right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I got my walk done, yeah. I enjoy the walk, but I also
who walked who? Did you walk the dog or did the dog walk you?
We kind of walk each other. Sometimes he's beside me. Sometimes he gets ahead of me, and sometimes he's behind me, and I have to kind of get him up to speed. But Ruben's 13, so he gets a pass.
Speaking of walking dogs, I remember a phrase. We played North Little Rock when I was I guess that was in 8th or 9th grade, probably in 8th grade. And after the game, they beat us by like 60 in basketball. And after the game, we're shaking hands, and I heard one of the guys go, "Hey, we just dog walked those guys." And I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty much what happened in that game that day." RD, so this upcoming game against Alabama A&M, we were talking about it a little bit yesterday. I don't know if you're necessarily going to learn a lot, but one of the things I heard Petrino hit on yesterday is, and he was saying it in the politest, like about execution and stuff. Like, they want to execute so they can get guys on the field. He wants to see KJ. He wants to see Trevor. He wants to see Grayson at the quarterback position, and then some other offensive linemen, other skill positions. How important is it for them to just get off to a fast start next Saturday so in order they can play a bunch of guys?
Well, I think that obviously very, very important, not only for the team, but also the psyche of the fan base. Obviously, they got to dominate and win pretty easily. If they do that, it doesn't create much doubt. Good portion of the fan base is kind of optimistic about the season, especially after what Coach Pittman has said at the Little Rock Touchdown Club, and that there's a good segment also that's pretty pessimistic. So you don't want to add to the negative vibes that some people have about the team by coming out and struggling. But anytime you can get more guys on the field and get more playing experiences, that obviously helps you down the road. And if they play well, and they continue to play well when they do get in, you improve your depth.
Yeah, and when you're looking at looking at the press conferences, listening to the words they're saying, I think it's interesting where they're happy with their depth right now, Richard, and where there's some position battles going on. Bobby Petrino talked about that right tackle spot. He talked about his tight ends. I think that's also interesting when you tie back the recruiting conversation, the transfer portal later this year, the transfer portal last year, and kind of see how they go about solving these issues. Defensive line's a real concern right now. You can't do anything about it now in the portal of this year, but I'm interested as you go back and look at what they did and maybe how they address that coming up in December.
Yeah, 2021, when Cam Ball signed, obviously he's a rarity in college football nowadays, a fifth-year senior, still hanging around and obviously contributing. But Deke Adams came on in 2022, and they've recruited pretty good in the high school ranks, but really didn't get their numbers up until last year. As far as they signed 5 from the high school ranks, and then obviously signed some guys from the portal. But it's all about retaining, and your high school kids, and then adding here or there from the portal. I'm fairly optimistic about the defensive line. I know Oki's going to miss a game or two, but that'll give some other guys an opportunity to get in there. Maybe Kevin Otis is a freshman who I'll be writing about fairly soon, who was a 4-star prospect by 2 of the recruiting services. He's from Hattiesburg, and he's a guy that I think has a chance to get into the rotation. Probably will be in the rotation for sure. Probably come in the first game, but I think he's a guy that could long term this season give you some snaps, good quality snaps. And I wouldn't rule out Caleb Bell too. He's a guy that that was, had a late offer from Texas, and his dad played in the NFL. He's a freshman along with Reginald Vaughn. Reginald Vaughn's the guy that, I think we talked about. I just remember seeing him when he made his decision to be a Razorback. He was around 280, and I saw him at one of the Arkansas camps, just observing, and man, he looked good. He's up to 300 pounds. His upper body, he's just totally changed his body. Now, of course, he's still a freshman, but he's added that weight, and maybe he may be a guy that can come on and give you some snaps too. So anytime you have a guy go down, you just hope others fill that gap and they're successful and continue to progress. And if they do, maybe the perception of the lack of depth kind of goes away as the season progresses.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tommy.
No, I just think I think that is one place where you look around the SEC and the most successful defensive lines have 6, 7, 8 guys that they feel good about rolling through there, and I think Arkansas is at 3 or 4 right now. And that will that expose itself as a weakness that other teams will take advantage of? I guess we'll find out. Maybe starting with Ole Miss and Memphis and that Notre Dame stretch.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, and it may very well be that as far as a weakness at the defensive tackle position. But I'm kind of optimistic. We'll see.
Talking with Richard Davenport, Whole Hog Sports, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Richard, we heard from Bobby Petrino yesterday. He talked quarterbacks, but he also touched on some wide receivers. C.J. Brown, Bentonville kid, comes in, plays a little bit as a freshman, had a quality bowl game. Petrino said last year and this year, he knows the playbook just as much, if not as better than anyone. I know we kind of know that Omega Blake and Raylan Sharp are going to be starters. I mean, how close is he to be not just a starter, but a consistent wide receiver for them this fall?
Well, anybody who's talked to CJ knows he's a very sharp young man, very mature. You get a kid that has the smarts and maturity like CJ. Usually, you're going to know the playbook. You're going to know your assignments and what you need to do. Then you throw his physical talent. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was kind of surprised. I knew he had good speed at Bentonville, but it seemed like when he got to Arkansas, that speed went up a notch, and he has very good speed. He's got good size, not great size, but good size. The combination of smarts and maturity and his athleticism, I think he's going to be pretty successful. And he got snaps last year as a true freshman in some pretty important situations. One, obviously against Texas, one play wasn't so good, but I think he's going to have a chance to be one of those guys, one of the top 4 receivers.
I think
when it's all said and done.
I look at the bowl game when these young freshmen like CJ or other guys, Kobe Branham, didn't necessarily have a chance to play a bunch of the season. They finally get a chance because guys opt out, guys are injured, whatever the case may be, and that really propels them in the next season. I think CJ had 3 catches, 51 yards in that bowl game last year. I mean, is there anyone else maybe from the Liberty Bowl that stood out that you felt like, man, that's really going to help them? That's going to help propel them into 2025.
Well, that's a good question because it's such a turnover in on the roster at the receiver position. Off the top of my head, no. I mean, obviously, Monty Harrison has really been showing out in recent practices and scrimmages. So I kind of figured that he would at some point, and last year was definitely a transition year just because he was going from professional baseball to football for the first time in 10 years. So it's good to see him, and he's provided a lot of good leadership, which I knew that he would this year. Last year he kind of set back and kind of, was a first-year guy and didn't want to make too much noise, but he's definitely leading this year, and I think that's when you got a guy that's obviously, as old as he is and has a lot more life experiences and maturity, that I think that's a good thing.
Richard, I think that's important to mention because I was reading one of your colleagues, and I'm forgetting if it was Ethan or Tom, but guy hadn't played since Lee Summit in high school. Like, he had not played football since, as you just addressed, 10-plus years ago. So it was a complete adjustment. Not only are you transitioning from baseball to football, you're going to the toughest conference in the country, playing a position where cornerbacks aren't exactly 5'6", 140. I mean, they're pretty physical and strong, so maybe there is something there. I mean, he's apparently been killing it in these scrimmages and practices. He's got a connection with KJ, had a long touchdown with Talon in this scrimmage on Saturday, so maybe we could see more from him this year, like you're alluding to.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a bigger guy. He looks like a tight end out there, but he's definitely showing he's gotten the rust off, and he just feels more comfortable. And plus, let's face it, yeah, he reported last summer and went through workouts and everything, but workouts, through last summer into the off season in spring, and now this summer, I'm sure his body's changed and kind of gotten used to football versus baseball. Two different sports, but you saw some highlights in baseball that were kind of like wow moments. How he just kind of climbed up a fence to make a catch a couple of times. So the talent's always kind of been there. You just had to wait until a little bit more experience and get his football, body in shape, and then obviously kind of get the cobwebs out of his game.
We got one last weekend without Arkansas football. You got a few games going on this weekend. Are you making an appointment to watch, Kansas State, Iowa State, and a handful of other games, or is this one final weekend before the deluge of work begins? How does RD handle this upcoming weekend?
Well, RD already looked at the schedule. I saw that. That was an 11 o'clock game, and then I think you got Fresno State at Kansas, and then Hawaii and somebody else. I forgot who it is at 8 o'clock that night. So
Stanford,
is it? Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Stanford at Hawaii, I believe it is. So.
Yeah, hey, if you're a football junkie, which I am, from 11 a.m. to about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, depending on how late some of those West Coast games last. I mean, that's what you look forward to, and some of those late night games are just in crazy games, and it just kind of rewards you for staying up that late to watch, and it's just hey, you get excited. I get excited for that first weekend, and even though it's not a blockbuster lineup or anything, it's still college football.
It's not the entree, but it's the apps, and we'll take it nevertheless. Richard, good stuff as always, man. We'll chat next week, and we'll finally be closer to Arkansas football in single-digit days when you join us.
Sounds good. We'll see you guys.
You don't always win your first bet. That's why MyBookie has you covered. Use our code HOGS, H-O-G-S, and your first bet up to $500 is fully covered. If your pick doesn't hit, you get it right back with our Bet Back bonus. Go to mybookie.ag and use the code HOGS to claim your Bet Back bonus. MyBookie's, where bettors win together, because bragging's good, but cashing in is better. And your first bet is fully covered. Use our code HOGS.
Got a little jingle